This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Got a chance to talk with Tom a little bit last night at Nissan Stadium. Tom, welcome into the show. Appreciate you making time for us this morning. I know you've had a busy week.
Tom, I do have to say your Hawaiian shirt game has been very strong and much better than Ty's all week long.
That hurts.
Two thumbs up on your Hawaiian shirt game this week.
Well, thanks, and I can go about 2 weeks deep. In fact, I think I could cover a complete trip to Omaha in all Hawaiian shirts. And yesterday, courtesy of my sister, Lisa, who lives in Fort Smith, she got that for my birthday. It's a lovely shirt.
Yeah, well done, and they're tasteful.
Mine aren't tasteful?
Well, no, yours, I need sunglasses around yours. Tom's are...
I'm a bright guy.
Well, that's something no one ever said before.
It reflects my personality. Well, no, I remember, so when I first met Tom when I think a sophomore in college, I always valued his Hawaiian shirt style. And
patterned yourself after him.
Yeah, I mean, I wore a Hawaiian shirt or two in high school, but I was like, this guy wears them all the time, so I can get away with it too. Well, Tom, we plenty to discuss outside of Hawaiian shirts. Again, one of the things you and I were talking about last night at dinner was that 4-game stretch, and Sam Pittman was asked about that yesterday and kind of gave a stock answer. Feels like, again, they have to deal with it every year. What did you think about his response to that 4-game brutal stretch that Arkansas has this fall?
Well, yeah, I mean, what are you going to say? You can't come across as whining about your schedule. Although he did say, I think, something about how, well, yeah, that's every year. And although I don't think this schedule is considered like among the top 5 or whatever toughest in the country, as some of the recent ones have been, it's still the way it lines out. And I actually asked him about it in the room when we were just in there before, and he's like, yeah, it seems like it's every year. And so, but it starts with 3 home games, 3 non-cons, capped by the BYU, and then the schedule ends with 3 home games. But golly, that stretch in the middle, the 6 in the middle, starting with LSU, is just brutal. You get, one of your quote home games is A&M, and then you also have Mississippi State. But other than that, you're going to Bama, you're going to LSU, you're going to Ole Miss, and you're going to Florida, and you can just get beat up over the course of a stretch like that. And there is one open date in there right before Florida, I think. But, I mean, you ask any team in the country to navigate that stretch right there, and it's hard to come out of that, unscathed, basically.
Yeah, I thought he said something when we were all conversing upstairs that it's generally true, and I thought it was insightful to the way he's thinking is, hey, your real team shows up in November. And that's when you do have your home games. That's when I think the schedule does ease up. So, the true team shows up as he's talking about. Then, maybe you finish off with, as Frank Broyles used to say, they remember what you do in November. They've got a chance to, I think, have a very fruitful closing month of the season.
Well, I mean, they very well could. How beat up will they be? What will their situation be? I heard him say in some other mediums yesterday that the depth and he also said it in the main room, but the depth of the team is something they've been working on, and they feel like at almost every position, they could withstand some attrition, some injury, some guys missing a few weeks, and be able to fill in. And you haven't been able to say that about very many Arkansas teams in the since they've joined the SEC. And so what they've done in the portal, particularly post-spring, they stacked up at some positions. I mean, they helped themselves at linebacker, D-line, in the secondary, particularly on defense, and, then at tight end a little bit too. So, yeah. I don't know. Winning games in the SEC is so difficult. And we've gone over and over how close they were in several games last year. And so people look at last year and go, 7-6, they took a step back. Well, win a few games that were close, and they've done a deep dive on self-examination. Why? Why did we lose 2-point games? And so if they can put their finger on it and cure it, then they'll have a chance to, be about where they were in 2021.
Going back to the transfer portal that you bring up a minute ago, I believe he said yesterday they brought a player in at every position group except running back. So they've addressed what they feel are the needs team-wide. But, Tom, they've addressed somebody or addressed each group in the portal with the exceptions of the depth in the running back room.
I think you have to applaud Sam Pittman and the staff for understanding where their deficiencies were, where they needed some help. They went into the bowl game. Landon Jackson was talking about this yesterday. They went into the bowl game with like 3 healthy inside defenders. And so, I mean, he even had to play some snaps inside. He could do it a lot better this year since he's added 45 pounds and weighs 283. He looked really fit, and he looked really confident yesterday. But, yeah, every position group they addressed. The running back room was already strong. Now, they did bring in the freshman Isaiah Augustave after spring. He's going to help the room. But, yeah, I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic that they're going to have the depth they need at just about every position. I mean, safety, when we get into camp, I want to take a real strong look at safety and nickel and at receiver and just really get an eye on whether I think those guys are going to be SEC caliber dudes.
Talking with Tom Murphy this morning via the McLarty Daniel hotline. Tom, how are you going to vote the West later today?
Wow. I haven't done it yet. It would be hard to probably pick against Bama at the top. I don't know where I'm going to have Arkansas. Probably in the top 4. And as much as Zach Arnett was one of the guys who impressed me the most. I thought yesterday, because the first year I thought Billy Napier came across as a real earnest guy. He knows what he's doing, and that hasn't changed. But he just didn't have a lot of energy yesterday. Zach Arnett, I thought, although he said "I" more than Nick Saban says "I," he was good. And if they can recruit there, Mississippi State, might not fall off. I don't know who's going to fall off, but 2 or 3 teams are going to be super disappointed in the West. I don't know who that's going to be.
I got LSU at the top, followed by Bama. And I think past that, you're kind of guessing at that point, but that's how I kind of think it's going to go. And I got LSU surprisingly winning all. And maybe I'm just buying into this, but no one's three-peated in this sport since the 30s. 12 teams have failed. Is Georgia got what it takes to be a 3-time champion, back-to-back-to-back?
Well, I mean, that's a great question. I mean, they've got to replace quarterback, obviously, and will Carson Beck be the answer? We won't know until we get in. But with Jaden Daniels, I think they bring back their entire offensive line. Harold Perkins is the game wrecker on defense. They brought in a lot of help in the secondary to help with Greg Brooks, Major Burns in that group. They don't have a lot of weaknesses. They've got a great receiving core. Their tight end's good. They bring back Mason Smith, the defensive tackle, to pair with Mekhi Wingo. So LSU's got a stout roster. I don't know. Yeah, I'll pick them in the top 2 in the West for sure.
That's really difficult. And you were talking about Landon Jackson, and again, he looked really good yesterday. 6'7", now over 280 pounds. He told us that Ben Souders is really helped from that. He's an LSU transfer. Tom, I think he might be the most improved player, not just on defense, but maybe on this football team based on Sam Pittman touting him. Could you see him leading the team in sacks this year?
Oh, yeah, he definitely could. If you look at the way things stack up, why wouldn't he get the most reps at DN? I mean, Zach Williams, Trajan, John Jeffcoat, maybe John Morgan, Jashad Stewart, Nico DeValier. Those guys are going to get the reps. But why wouldn't he get the most reps at DN? And he's talking about how aggressive he's going to be. And I don't know. I got a good vibe off Landon yesterday. He was happy to be there and in good spirits.
Yeah. Let's go back to the portal a minute, because I thought one of the best questions came from Trey Biddy yesterday about players in the portal and where Sam would be, where this program would be without it. If the transfer portal had never got voted in, because of the 2020 class, I think there's only 2 players left from it. This would be a roster that would be very thin, and already depth challenge would be even in a tighter spot. What did you think about that question and that exchange yesterday? Because I've never thought about it in those terms, Tom, that if you didn't have a portal, Sam Pittman's footing at Arkansas would be much different.
Yeah, Trey went into a pretty good dive on the roster for sure. there's been a lot of attrition on it, and without – you think about last year's transfer portal, Drew Sanders, Jaden Hazelwood, Matt Land. I mean, that was – they hit. Latavius Brini, they got a bunch of snaps out of their portal guys. Dwight McLaughlin, and if they
still
don't
went
this
7-6 with those guys. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah.
So
where would you be without them?
Where would you be? And they need the receivers to be hits this year. If the receivers are hit and some of the DBs they got, then they have a chance to be pretty good. But without the portal, and they worked it among the best of anybody in the country, I would say, it could be a much different situation if you're trying to fill in all your gaps with freshmen, redshirt freshmen, and sophomores.
And it seems like of the portal defensive guys that the offensive players and defensive players keep talking about is Snacks Johnson. I know that's one of the guys that you're really excited to see in fall camp. Is he maybe the most intriguing guy in defense, Tom, that you want to get eyes on before the fall?
Certainly one of the most, and he seems to be, kind of a high-strung guy like McLaughlin was the year before. Sam, I saw in another medium yesterday, he was asked about the defense and why you'll be better, and he really touted Deke Adams and the depth on the D-line, but he said they think they can play man coverage and zero coverage and get by with it with those guys, and Ladarius Bishop, who he's got to keep gaining confidence from that knee surgery. We saw times in the spring where he was frustrated, maybe the knee wasn't going exactly like he wanted, and so he's got to learn to bottle that and improve. I mean, this will be his fifth-year deal. So with him there, and then don't know what they'll get out of Quincy McAdoo, if anything at all. And I think Jalen Braxton might be able to provide them some snaps as a true freshman as well.
And on the note of the knee, I know Laney Jackson was dealing with that ACL recovery last year, and I think he's a lot healthier than he was last season. Tom, we'll leave it there. Again, we appreciate you joining us on the McLarty-Daniel hotline. We'll do it again next Tuesday and recap what the standings and the selections are for all SEC. Come then.
Awesome, man. Talk about it then.
BetOnline is your #1 source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.